Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to leading off. Juan Soto is a San Diego Padre. Can you believe it? I am the Welsh. You can find me on Twitter at IsItTheWelsh. No Joey P, but I do have my boy Casey Bubba BDentric on Twitter in the house. The story of the day: Jacob DeGrom start. No, it is Juan Soto is officially, as of like 5 minutes ago, as we are going live here, has been traded to the Washington Nationals in a blockbuster package. Juan Soto and Josh Bell are heading over to maybe the most beautiful place in the country, San Diego, if you've ever been, for a haul. Mackenzie Gore, Robert Hassel, CJ Abrams, James Wood, Yarlin Susana, and Eric Hosmer all going to the Nationals. I don't want to pull a Joey P, but had you been listening to this show, you might have heard me talk about almost this exact trade and being in on the San Diego Padres. Casey Bubba, how about a cool show for you to come in on, Bubba?
Yeah, this does not stink at all. This is a good one. I didn't even realize that this was the day until about a week ago. And I'm like, oh, we might have fireworks. I know we talked earlier that we did not plan on this trade happening this early in the day, but it is great. It is an awesome trade. It's a blockbuster. And most importantly, Mr. Welsh, he's not going to be a Dodger. So life is really good in that regard.
He is not going to be a Dodger. That is something I had brought up, that it's like, don't discount them. Don't think that's not a possibility. Like, they could always come in towards the end. It did not happen. San Diego pulled through. This wasn't like, I think, what was it, last year, where it was
and Turner.
they thought they had Scherzer and then it got pulled from under them right at the end. No, it did not happen. Sounds like the Cardinals were right in it, and the lack of interest for the Cardinals in adding. There's two reports. One was the Dylan Carlson, which would be
just
hilarious.
Crazy if that's the one.
The other was Jordan Walker. And I think the problem was the St. Louis probably did not want to give both of them up in whatever trade was going to happen. San Diego sold the farm, and they gave up the early reports of this trade. I think we all felt it was a little bit light. Bubba and I were sitting here live 10 minutes before the show, and we saw that it was like Hassel, Abrams, Wood, and Susana. And we were like, man, how did they get this done without moving Gore? And then the report, Mackenzie Gore was involved. Then Bubba goes, what are they going to do with Eric Hosmer? How is Eric Hosmer not involved in this? And I'm like, I know. What are they going to do? And then we find out Eric Hosmer is involved, Bubba. We were talking about this live on the back end. So let's talk about Juan Soto for a second as a San Diego Padre. That lineup is going to be infused with Tatis Jr. You got Manny Machado in there. He's your new outfielder. And they bring in Josh Bell, which he's had a super underrated season. So outlook on Juan Soto rest of year.
Oh, he's still the GOAT. He's one of the best players in baseball, and now people have to pitch to him. I guess it's going to be amazing. The guy was walking 20+% of the time nearly every week, because why would you throw to him? Now you have Machado. Tatis is potentially on a rehab assignment this weekend. You got Rake Cronenworth. Grisham's actually hitting a little better than expected. This lineup is getting filthy right now, not to mention the pitching staff. But you asked about Juan Soto. He's going to be great. He's going to love the NL West. He's going to love it down there. I can't be over. I'm over the moon for Juan Soto, and he's got to be pretty pumped. I hope, and you think with all the prospects they've sent, they better pay the man. I don't know where they're going to get the money from, but they better pay the man.
Well, they'll find it. They'll find a way. The interesting thing about this is they also said, or the rumor was going around, that they were comfortable making this trade and getting rid of the haul that they did, because if they feel they can't find a way to make this move work, they could move Juan Soto. They could be involved and they could replenish. So at the end of the day, let's say they got 75% back, to essentially trade. Maybe even if 75% equated to, let's say, Gore and Susana and Hassel and blah, 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 but they can't get like the value of even Abrams back. You could look at it as they sell out 1 year of Abrams for Juan Soto, or 1 year of Juan Soto out for CJ Abrams, which could be, a decent side. He got his house in LA. Here's an interesting fact. I saw our boy, John Legeza, post that, and I want to point out, these same odds are available, you will see on Betting Pros currently, because it's not updated. But he had said he had got San Diego's Team Future World Series at 2,200, plus 2,200. If you go over Betting Pros right now, it still shows San Diego 2,200 on DraftKings. BetMGM, they've got it 2,500. The best odds, I think, is Unibet at 2,800. Or no, that's FanDuel at 2,800. I went over to DraftKings as we started up the show. San Diego, It is more than cut in half at plus 1100, 11 to
Makes
1
sense.
right now. So that has been cut in half. Bubba, the prospects is actually is something I can really help out about because I am incredibly familiar because I have been around all of these guys for a long time. Mackenzie Gore since the beginning. Yarlin Susana is actually, that's one I'm kind of proud of. I brought his name up in the very, very beginning of this entire thing. One of the live streams I do over on our in this league Twitch, in this league, or twitch.tv/in this league. I had mentioned Yarlin Susana as a guy I think this team would go after. Any team would go after because he's a big hulking 6'6", 240-pound strikeout pitcher. He looks like a future, number 2, maybe even number 1. James Wood is ironically maybe one of the bells of the balls of this for a long term. He is a big 6'7" outfielder who's stolen a crazy amount of bases, has insane power. Robert Hassel is a top 5 prospect in my eyes. CJ Abrams and Mackenzie Gore help right now. This, I know it can feel light to Nationals fans. This is a big deal. Gore and CJ Abrams get to go in and have value right now. Abrams is going to get an everyday gig, which I think is pretty big for his fantasy value. Gore's going to have a chance to stay in the rotation without question. And you've got 3 players that are probably about at least 2 years away, but this is what this organization needed to do because their system sucked. So on the outset of it, Bubba, do you think the Nationals got what they should have got for Juan Soto?
Yeah, it's about the best you could do. We talked about it before the show. Your good buddy James Anderson was tweeting about it as well. Like, you guys know prospects better than most out there, and this is a great haul. You mentioned the Cardinals offer. The fact they wouldn't allow Carlson in there was kind of funny to me. So they got everything they could. And you look at the Nationals, we make fun of them. They're selling. It's part of the deal, whatever. But between this move, getting Josiah Gray and Kyber Ruiz last year, like, they're building something at least. We'll see how far it goes, but they're building something. So they might be a little ways away, the way that the Braves are signing all their young players for a while and everything, and the Mets are the Mets, but the Nats are at least – they're making an effort to kind of rebuild things and make it work without just completely blowing the ship up.
Remember yesterday when they got Josh Hader, and that was cool? I completely even forgot, like, in this whole process about Josh Hader. And
the Padres are going to give the Dodgers a run. Last year when we watched Padres-Dodgers, it was like must-see TV, especially early in the season. Then it kind of dwindled and wasn't that great this year. I think the next couple months is going to be electric factory time for that series.
I mean, think of the infusion. Josh Hader on the back end of the bullpen, and they gave up another guy I had mentioned, Robert Gasser. I mean, they kind of traded all the guys I thought they would. The Padres are essentially sitting here with Jackson Merrill left in their system. A couple other really young guys as well. If you guys are interested in that, come and check me out over on Prospect One. I'll talk more about that. But Wonky just brought up the last thing I was going to mention on this because I think this would be the most hilarious across the board is Hosmer has a no trade clause and he still has to approve this. This is 100% correct. I just saw this report by Morosi saying that Hosmer's approval is still needed and that it is believed that he will. MLB Network is already reporting it. The belief, as far as I saw a little bit early on, is that there aren't going to be any wrinkles, but can you imagine
if Hosmer blows this thing up of all people? Oh, man, the Padres fans are already kind of a little on the sour side of things when it comes to how much money they spent on a ground ball hitter. And now you're going to throw this wrinkle into it that they can't get Juan Soto because of this. I think if that doesn't happen, Fernando Tatis might be calling the countryman up and saying, hey, take care of this real quick for me.
It's wild. The trade deadline is coming up today at 6 p.m. Eastern for everybody. We've got, when we ended the show yesterday, with Mike Curlin, we walked into the Josh Hader trade and we had some other big trades that went down. So I know we could probably spend another 15 minutes on this. The trade did just go down. There's big fantasy implications, big pluses for obviously Josh Bell and Soto. I think it's a great move. There's a lot of protection in the lineup as well. When Tatis comes back, being around those guys, I would expect Soto's probably hitting 2, Manny maybe 4 and Tatis 3. That's ridiculous. Imagine trying to pull through that lineup. Josh Bell, you can put it at 5. And then I would also say that CJ Abrams is going to get not a slight, but a pretty significant boost as fantasy because he's going to get to run the rest of the season, probably hit high in that lineup for the Nationals, and he's just going to get an opportunity. Those are your fantasy implications across the board. Eric Hosmer, I don't know. There's really nothing there. Eric Hosmer continues to be Eric Hosmer, but there were other moves. So burning through some of the other trade deadline moves that have happened, Frankie Montas and Lou Trevino go to the Yankees in a move that the Yankees didn't even move any of their really top guys. They moved Ken Waldachuk was kind of the big one. I thought they would give up Oswalt Peraza. Outlook for Frankie Montas in New York, Bubba.
It's going to be good. He has had some very bad home road splits in his career. Obviously, pitching in Oko is the way to go. I think he'll be fine as long as the shoulder holds up, but we'll see what happens. He was worth it. I was surprised they didn't have to pay that much, but if you couldn't get Luis Castillo, Frankie Montas, great second option.
Yeah, it's crazy. Jose Quintana goes to the Cardinals. There was a rumor that came out that the Pirates gave the White Sox an opportunity to match, and they declined. So that move just went to the Cardinals. That's just some depth. The Cardinals absolutely needed it. Losing out on these sweepstakes, what I really do wonder for the rest of the day is how aggressive do the Cardinals now turn to teams like the Marlins and the Giants if Rodon is really available, or you've got Pablo Lopez out there. The Diamondbacks, hilariously and stupidly, there's a report out, have said that Merrill Kelly is not available, which is...
Or Zach Gallen.
Or Zach. Well, Gallen I'm kind of fine with. Merrill Kelly not being available is asinine to me. Bumgarner might be a sneaky one of those guys. A team like the Cardinals might, get those old soft tossers, and just get him in there. Look for maybe something like that. Reese McGuire, Tommy Pham went to the Red Sox. Oddly, as the Red Sox ended up moving Christian Vasquez to the Astros. The Astros also acquired Trey Mancini. They got their first baseman. The big kind of thing was Josh Bell would be going there. Obviously, he's going to San Diego. Do you think how much does this improve Trey Mancini's fantasy value moving in to Houston and moving into that lineup coming out of Baltimore?
Tremendously. You give him that short porch in left field now. That's going to be absolute. The Crawford boxes. It's a big move for Trey Boo Boo. I love him as a ball player, as a person. It seems like he's a good guy too. But great move for him. Great lineup to go hit in. Great division to hit against compared to the AL East. I love Trey Boo Boo quite a bit in Houston.
It's so weird. This is Full Metal here brings up weird. Do you think the Diamondbacks would trade and build the farm system? One thing is the Diamondbacks are one of the best farm systems in baseball, but they don't have great pitching depth lower. I am baffled by some of these teams that are not heavily and aggressively being involved in this. Like the Royals did a little bit early on. If the Royals aren't blowing up phones right now to get Whit Merrifield off this team,
he's got to go somewhere, right?
Yeah, the Diamondbacks are not trying to move Madison Bumgarner. I don't understand what the point of any of this is. Like, do the Diamondbacks think you're going to slide in because there's more spots? No. Juan Soto just came into your same division with the Dodgers. Bye. See ya. Same thing with the rest of these teams. I don't understand some of these moves. There are a couple other smaller moves. The Diamondbacks did trade Luke Weaver to the Royals for nothing. You had Jake Odorizzi and Robbie Grossman in small moves to the Braves. Jose Siri went to the Rays, and Matt Bush and Taylor Rogers to Milwaukee. I forgot to mention in the Josh Hader trade, Josh Hader moves as the big closer for San Diego, but they also moved Taylor Rogers, who they seem to have some trust in. Here's a question. Closer in Milwaukee, is it Devin Williams or Taylor Rogers, or do they split time?
It's probably some sort of committee, but I think Devin Williams gets like at least 60% of it. He should be the guy. He was already an elite reliever coming into before the trade, obviously. I think it's got to be him. They might try to work in some Taylor Rogers. Hope he finds his early season success. But Devin Williams should be the guy, but he's probably the high leverage guy. So I'd say about 60% for Devin.
I'm gonna need the chat to be like be my passin just in case. I can't help but wanting to keep like going search,
checking Twitter,
going search. So if you guys get anything, break it in the chat. Here was another one. Jorge Lopez went to the Twins, and Jorge Lopez looks like he can end up being the closer in Minnesota. Which I would say, by the way, if he gets the actual gig and they don't do some weird rotational thing of like Johan Duran and Pagan, that Lopez could be in line to really kind of boost up boards. This is a phenomenal place for wins for Minnesota. So I really like this as a sneaky move, as long as he's not buried in some rotation of all of these guys, which would be relatively stupid. There are some rumors going around for the rest of the day. Here's what to look out for. There are still starting pitchers on the market. I mentioned Pablo Lopez. I mentioned Carlos Rodon. Noah Syndergaard, apparently, he's starting today. There's no way he starts. They've got to scratch him. Or what time is the game at? Is the game after the deadline?
That's an evening game. It's on the West Coast, so it's after the deadline.
Yeah, so you know what? We'll figure it out.
He's not pitching tonight.
Oh, did they already scratch him?
No, I'm just telling you guys right now, he's
Oh.
not pitching tonight.
Yeah, he's got to be moved. I mean, again, this is another one of those got to be moves. Philly is a target, and the Blue Jays have been talking. Tyler Mahle is available. Twins and Phillies both have interest in Mahle, and then obviously, like I said, Rodon and Lopez are sitting out there. I think there's some smaller pitchers, Madison Bumgarner. Few of those should be Merrill Kelly. Few of those guys for teams that lost out, because that's a sneaky thing here. Is now that you look at like all of the crazy chaos, what are the Cardinals sitting here with? Jose Quintana? You can't go into a trade deadline willing to get Juan Soto, miss out on the big pitchers, and not do something. I wonder if the Cardinals still have an ace up their sleeve and they're going to pull something crazy coming up here, or at least get really hyper aggressive and maybe have to offer up a kid like Mason Wynn to the Giants for Carlos Rodon. That was something I actually did a prediction of, that they would get hyper aggressive with the Giants and maybe throw that out. A couple others. The Blue Jays have interest in Ian Happ. I know someone in the chat had brought up maybe even the Dodgers out there. This is actually a really good one too. Bizarrizagiza mentioned that Franmil got option. You got to think there's a team out there wanting to just take an opportunity and buy on Franmil Reyes, who has just been the biggest disappointment. And we will pretend I never said anything about him in the preseason, Bubba. You got to imagine someone would want to try to take an opportunity with Franmil.
They got it. The Franimal, like, unleash him somewhere else. A lot of it's got to be between his ears right now. That strikeout rate is ridiculous, and we know he's better than this. He still hits the ball hard even when he's striking out right now. So get him in a new environment, get him happy. I think that's a good one.
Also, the last of the big ones, we assume Joey Gallo. Joey Gallo is definitely going to be on the move.
Did you see that interview?
No. Is it bad?
It's depressing. It's sad. Like, they talk about, he's like, he won't leave his house, won't go on the streets in New York right now. It's bad for Joey. Like, he needs to get out quick.
He needs out of there. He needs out of there for sure. I think, God, who was it? I just saw someone. There's a couple teams that were looking at him. I was just reading about, maybe it was the Twins or something like that. Twins are totally used to a big power hitting guy that hits 210 and Miguel Sano. So Gallo would fit in perfect there. There are some other things going on, and we'll try to burn through them. On the injury front, Trig Skubal left his start against the Twins in the 5th inning with left arm fatigue. He was one of my favorite plays yesterday on strikeouts. He was dominating, and it looked like we were doing good, but no. Chris Bryant is back on the IL with plantar fasciitis. I'm done. I've said it. I said yesterday, I'm like, I'm over it. Get whatever you can. Now you can't because he's back on. It is the biggest disaster waste season for Chris Bryant, and maybe he will be the ultimate buy low opportunity next year, because there's no way he can be valued inside the top 150 going into next year, right?
No, he has 0 home runs in Coors Field. He had like all of his home runs at the same time in Arizona, I believe it was. It's been bad, really bad. Yeah, he's got to go.
There was one time that Bryce Harper wanted to come and play for the Diamondbacks because it was close to Vegas, and then Bryant would have played with him, and then the Diamondbacks just traded Paul Goldschmidt because they had signed Zach Greinke, and now they're in the position they are where they suck, and I live in a world of misery. John Gray left his start early with left side discomfort. Not great. And then we mentioned Franmil Reyes is expected to be optioned to AAA. Let's go through some stat heroes here from yesterday. Hunter Green, 8 strikeouts in 6 innings, giving up only 1 hit. Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo is quite the good future for the Reds right now, Bubba. Which side do you have? Bubba or Green or Lodolo? Or Bubba?
I'm always team Bubba, but Lodolo is where I'm at right now. I love Hunter Green stuff, but until he can figure out the consistency, I'm concerned. Lodolo is just filthy. I have no there's always concerns with young pitchers, but he is filthy right now.
You had your screen had froze for a second, and you were like, with the big kissy face. I hope somebody screenshots that or goes and pulls back because that's what threw me off when I was looking, and you just had the big kiss. It was great. Eovaldi struck out 6 and 6 1/3. Daniel Lynch, 5 1/3, 6 hits, 7 strikeouts, and Skubal did have 4 strikeouts in 5 innings. His marker was 5.5 yesterday, and the fatigue that killed us. Some big hitting performances. Andres Jimenez, 3 stolen bases. 4 for 5 for the day, has just been phenomenal. Really, him and Ahmed Rosario have just been such a big boon for them. Jose Trevino had 2 bombs. Pete Alonso, who I had for the home run contest, had a homer. Cedric Mullins bomb. Juan Soto, last game as a National, hit a bomb off of Max Scherzer, which is kind of poetic if we're being honest. It's a little poetic if you think about it, Bubba.
Yeah, combo meal, home run and a stolen base. He had a nice going away present for Washington.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he did have a stolen base. You're right about that. Med Rosario, who I mentioned, had 3 RBI, going 3 for 6 with the homer. Jaron Duran had a bomb. Aaron Judge, his 43rd. Good Lord. Albert Amonte had a stolen base, and Christian Walker 2 for 5 with a homer and a run. Some stat zeros. Logan Webb gave up 6 earned runs and 5. Bubba, that's your guy. What's up with Logan? What's up with Logan Webb?
He's been off all year. He's had trouble getting swinging strikes. He just has not been as dominant as he was last year. I don't think we expected that good of a year, but it's been bad. It's been really bad. It's just it's a microcosm of the season for the Giants right now.
Are you a big sell on Logan Webb right now? Like, would you sell him 85 cents on the dollar?
If you can get it, sure. I'd sell as many Giants as you can right now, personally. But I think they're about to go into let's see what we have for next year mode. So I'd be very careful.
Marco Gonzalez got lit up, 9 hits, 6 earned runs. Zach Davies, 4 earned runs. Didn't probably talk to the media after, nor would he talk to his ex-wife.
Or his wife, yeah.
Yep. And Patrick Corbin, who I faded against yesterday because that's what you do. 4 earned runs, 7 hits. We had a bunch of big old strikeout dudes. Riley Green, Josh Naylor, JJ Bleday, Grichuk, Prado, and Akil Badu. All 3 strikeout performances. Over on guess what we have? I have a surprise and a shock for everybody. We have a home run board. Look at that. We have an updated home run board going over to High Cubbies in the lead with 37 homers. D Blum caught up with Night King of the North with 35. Ew. Mike Mayer is right there because, fellas, 29 people, and ladies, by the way, 29 people yesterday called either Judge or Pete Alonso. Technically, we were 100% right on the stream yesterday. I called Alonso, as did Mayer. Mike Curlin had Aaron Judge, and I believe Joe in perpetuity has Aaron Judge. So we were a perfect 100%. So there is your board going forward. Nice to have that back. And you guys can continue rocking there and get some home run calls. And Bubba, you have a lot on your plate as you're going to have to make a big call here coming up shortly to keep up with Curlin. So the pressure
big shoes to
you.
fill. Big shoes.
That's right. That's big shoes. Friends, we're going to look at some bets, but want to remind you to go check out our sponsor, BetMGM. Go download the app, go to the website, use the promo code leading off. And if you are watching on the stream, you see right there, you can get a $1,000 risk-free first bet by using the promo code leading off. Support the show, support us. Go check out BetMGM. Maybe go take the Padres if they still have it at plus 2,200, if it's still up there. It might be 11-1, and I still think that's a good bet. So as I told you guys yesterday, I'm going to be giving you the top 2 bets for one for strikeouts and one for total bases on BettingPros.com's MLB prop cheat sheet. And then I'm going to give you some I like. So the top 2 bets is actually the same total base bet as yesterday. Jordan Alvarez, total base 1.5 over is the top projected bet. 1.5 total bases is plus money on Unibet right now. And that's a really good bet. Spencer Howard is on the strikeouts. My God, 3.5 strikeouts. It's minus 150 though on DK. Bubba, I stacked to hell last week against Spencer Howard, and he looked like Nolan Ryan. So I don't know what to do about Spencer Howard anymore.
Attack him again tonight. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I think you have to attack. You know, Donnie, I'm willing to bring back the Princess Crown. If the chat really wants it, the next BetMGM read, I might bring back the Princess Crown.
I hope I'm here for that.
Yeah, it's a good bit. I don't have Joe's big crown. I just have a nice little tiara. It's the BetMGM tiara, official one. A couple of my plays today. We didn't really get to talk a whole lot about it because, Juan Soto got traded and it's a trade deadline. But there's this little guy you might be familiar with named Jacob deGrom, who is returning a phenomenal day to do it. And listen, I don't care if he's returning from injury. I don't care about the thought of they're going to be baby. Jacob deGrom's going to strike dudes out left and right today because he's going up, I believe, against the Nationals. Yeah. And the Nationals are not going to have Juan Soto and Josh Bell. Guess what they did today, early this morning? They called up a whole bunch of minor leaguers like an hour ago to come and play. That is going to be a disastrous lineup of guys that are not ready going up against deGrom. I am right here like full man. I am smashing the 6.5 over. I'm absolutely jumping on it. That's one of my favorites. Over in Unibet, it's minus 120. I think it's fine juice. If you weren't into it, I would tell you Jameson Taillon has been a little strikeout dude. He's at 4.5, and he's also minus 120. maybe compare those together. That might not be a horrible one. I also like Matt Olson, total bases 1.5. Almost even money on Unibet at -104. Bubba, I've got a couple DFS things real quick just to throw at you. I'm going to get your take on it because you're a big DFS guy. I threw out some pitchers I like. I'm going to give you DK and FanDuel. You tell me on DK, if you're getting your 2 starting pitcher mix, I wouldn't mind doing a Jacob deGrom, though I think he's going to be highly played. 10.3, he is 10K. And Spencer Strider at 8.3. Over on FanDuel, some deals. DeGrom, 10.9. Strider's 8.3. Wainwright, 8.5. And Giolito is 7.8 if you're putting lineups there. What do you like out of that or anybody else?
I'm all in on Spencer Strider tonight. The price tag is just way too cheap on both sites if you want to go that route. Don't mind DeGrom, but I think Corbin Burns against Pittsburgh is a phenomenal option as well. Pittsburgh striking out nearly 27% of the time versus righties this past month, so Corbin Burns should slice and dice that one. The only other another value I could potentially give you is Cole Irvin against those Angels, a team that strikes out way too much against left-handed pitching, and they have a WRC plus around 60 this past month versus left-handed pitching, and Cole Irvin's actually been pretty good of late. So I think it could be a nice play for you as well in tournaments.
I like that. But this is the duality, by the way, of chat, where our boy Barrows says the tiara is a nice touch, and Yo Tim says, please don't do the tiara. We do have a special guest tomorrow. Wonky is going to be on, I think, for the first time, and Wonky is demanding the tiara. So we will see what happens on that front. If you are doing some stacks, here are some teams that have implied run totals of over 5 today. I think there's quite a few, but Mets, Brewers, and Minnesota. Those would be 3 teams I would looking at stacking. For Rowdy Tellez is kind of speaking to me today, if I'm being honest with you. A little like Rowdy Tellez action. Not giving any specific players in there, but top of the lineup stacks on Mets, Milwaukee, and Minnesota. Bubba, let's make a home run call, and then we're going to end it out just getting any last little trade predictions here. It was all Judge and Alonso yesterday. Who's your home run call? You have to keep the guest streak alive.
Yeah, 1 for 1 so far. So we're going for 2 for 2, and I'm going for the man that just got paid. Austin Riley he had the biggest, like a humongous month of July. He gets an opener, and then, Mark Capel's a great story and all, but he gets a great situation to hit in against the Phillies today. Atlanta's going to score a ton of runs, and one big reason is Austin Riley hitting another home run this season.
It's funny because I am in that exact same game, but I am going to be going Matt Olson, who has hit 18 home runs against righties this year, and it feels like a really great play against Nick Nelson. I'm going to do it at home. Give me Matt Olson. We are both heavily invested in this game. I've got Matt Olson. You've got Austin Riley. I don't know, Wonk, you can tell me, I don't see it on the sheet or anything like that, if Mayer has got a home run call and Joe continuously has Judge. Bizarre, I almost went Acuna. I was very close to going Acuna or going Dansby Swanson just because of the leadoff spot and maybe getting extra at bats, but that's why I settled on Matt Olson. Okay, so to end this out, Bubba, we've gone the whole gambit here. We have roughly, God, I can't do 8.5 hours, I believe, on the trade deadline. Do you expect anything else crazy? Hader, I feel like, was a name none of us expected. Do you think we're going to see a trade that no one is talking about on a name no one is talking about or expecting? Or do you think the big guns have been fired for the deadline?
Well, everyone's talking about Wilson Contreras. He'll be moved. I think one's whispered about, but I don't think people are expecting it to happen. I think Carlos Rodon gets moved. I think that'll happen today. At least I hope they do. Take advantage of that. I don't know of any more surprises, though. Like the Soto one, that's the big dog that just went boom, goes dynamite. So I don't know where we could cap that with.
I don't think it's 5.5 hours. I think it's 6 p.m. Oh, you know what? Yeah, it's 6 p.m. I'm
6 p.m. East.
I'm on the West Coast, so I'm thinking 6. And it's 6 p.m. Eastern, which is 3 o'clock my time. Sure,
it'll be over before all games start today. So we'll
5.5
everything.
Yeah, 5.5 hours. Okay, last thing. Let's do this. A prediction of a trade, if like the home run contest. Let's say it's a home run contest, and you got to just nail absolutely one of them. Give me a person traded to whom today.
Wilson Contreras goes to the Tampa Bay Rays.
Ooh, that was one I thought of. That's so funny that you say that. I feel like I want to say Wilson. I'm going to say Wilson Contreras to the Mets right now. I
That
feel like
works
that's the
too.
only one we really, really, truly know that's going to be moved. Yeah, JP agrees with me. He went Contreras. So we both pick Contreras to the Mets. Anybody else in the chat wants to throw a player and destination? Maybe we can even go back and see if there's any good calls on them. You can find Bubba on Twitter at BDintric. Bubba, what do you got going on right now? Bench with Bubba, host of that. You got a lot of articles out there. What's on the docket for people to check out?
Just a couple articles a week at Fantasy Pros. Check out Bench with Bubba multiple times a week for fantasy baseball needs, and got some DFS content as well. So just follow me on Twitter. You'll get all the goodies there.
Boom. Go and do it. Follow me on Twitter at @IsItTheWelsh. And just a little side note for everybody. Bogman and I will be doing a live MLB trade deadline special on our Twitch, twitch.tv/inthisleague, starting at 4 p.m. Eastern, if I can get times correct, all the way through the trade deadline. That will be our big thing. And if you guys want to come check us out and get live reactions, and we'll talk about all the fantasy stuff, you can kind of continue on the awesome stuff we've been doing here. Friends, that is it. We are all done. Wonky Penguin is on with us tomorrow, so you better show up and show up big. I am the Welsh. This is leading off, and we are out of here, friendos. Have a great one. Juan Soto.